Hello, I'm Chrissy Seaton and welcome back to my YouTube channel, My Noahide Family. Today I'm going to talk about an excerpt from a book that I've had for some time. It was a course I did actually. So I was searching. I knew I had something that I wanted to incorporate into today's video, so I had to go on a bit of a search for it, and it was lovely because I found all these other things too that I knew I had, but you put them aside like we all do, don't we? And then out of sight, out of mind, as the saying goes. So I'm going to read from this. It's called, the book is actually called Judaism's Gifts to the World. Now, I don't believe you can buy this at a bookstore. These are books that are produced for at least Chabad House across the world, and then people who are part of the local congregations, etc., will go there and do some study courses. And I was lucky enough to attend quite a few of these at one point in time. And so I often refer back to these books because I think, oh, I know I read that. And I'll go searching, and 9 times out of 10, it's in one of these books that I find it. So here we go. The title of today's video is So It Is with the Nations of the World. And at this particular point in time, it does leave one wondering, doesn't it? We have nations against nations, and of course not to overlook the terrible things that have been happening for Israel. And of course Israel gets blamed by the whole world for everything. If someone sneezes across the universe, it must be Israel's fault. It's almost ludicrous, some of the news reporting, etc. However, I don't want to dwell on that today. That's not my intention. My intention is just to remind us all that there is one God. One God. And rather than me struggle with my explanations, I decided I would refer back to this book and give you some references, etc. So please stay with me as we continue on with this journey. So it is with the nations of the world. Let's think about that. But more importantly, let's think about what we are doing. So I will just start off with a little introduction from this book, and it goes like this, an analogy. A king entered a province accompanied by dukes, prefects, and commanders. One person said, I am taking a duke as my patron. Another said, I am taking a prefect as my patron. And still another said, I am taking a commander as my patron. One clever individual who was there among them said, I am taking the king. And it goes on and says, so it is with the nations of the world. Some of them worship the sun, some worship the moon, and some of them worship wood and stone. But Israel serves none other than God himself. So there we kind of have it in a nutshell, don't we? And let us also remind ourselves that God is in complete control of this world, no matter how blessed or how chaotic it becomes at times. God is in control. So we're going to look at the duty of mankind according to each man's capacity. And just remember that some people have more capacity than others to do things for this world. Not everyone is on the same level. Some people have abilities that other people don't, so therefore they can do certain things that others can't. So just remember, according to our capacity is how we respond and how we relate to Hashem, God. So it goes on and explains here that there are some things that we sort of need to keep close to our hearts and minds. And I know I've told you this story before, but it bears repeating because it relates so well to all of us can relate to this. It's about understanding absolutely, completely that God is in control of everything. When you come out running late for work and you go to get in your car and you look down, you've got a flat tyre. Well, of course, we scream and we kick and we carry on sometimes. Oh, now, blah, 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 woe is me. But we need to stop and think, why did this happen? Why did this happen? You have no idea. That flat tyre may well have delayed you from being involved in a serious traffic accident, or worse still, being severely injured or even killed. So thank God for the flat tyre. That's the first thing. And there's the old story of the woman that's in the supermarket car park running late and she's looking for a car park. Oh, please God, find me a car park, please God. Oh, no, it's all right. Don't worry, God, I found it by myself. No need to add any more to that story, is there? So let's get down to what we as Gentiles, Noahides, righteous individuals should be doing, how we should be acknowledging God, and how we should understand that all mankind is not equal in terms of their interpretation of one only true God. There is no excuse really nowadays for not understanding what God truly is. We have the internet, we have all manner of acquiring knowledge now without even leaving our house. And the good source, of course, is always going to the Jewish source of information because we know we can trust it and it's correct. Even as Noahides, as righteous Gentiles, the foundations and the basics of faith are there. So let's go on and talk a little bit more. I'll go back. I'm going to give you a couple of references too that you can go away and look up later. So let's just remind ourselves to keep our mind on the ball, so to speak. Keep our eye on the ball. God is the centre of our life, of our world. So now we're going to talk about the nations in terms of, let's say, what's going on now in our time. And I don't need to explain that. You will all right away now be able to identify nations that are trying to do the right thing as a nation and others that certainly aren't. They're on the other side of the scale. So, and reminding that because Israel has always only served one true God. And that's the path that we as righteous Gentiles should be on as well. There's only one God. There's no Father, Son, whatever else goes with it, there is one God, true, whole God. So I'm going to give you now a couple of references to look up after you've watched this video. Now, the first one, and you write this down, is Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 4. Now, you can look that up and read it. The second one is Lamentations chapter 3, verse 24. So I'll just repeat that. Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 4. And Lamentations chapter 3, verse 24. Now, there'll be some things in there that it's best for you to read rather than me read it out to you. Now, the other thing I want to stress here is that at times in our lives we are engulfed with doom and gloom, whether it's a personal issue or whether it's what's going on in the world or our town or our neighbourhood. I think the main thing I want to stress here is that we have a responsibility to always be optimistic because we know that God is in control. And although At times we may have to be subject to some discomfort or some hardships, etc. We need to comfort ourselves with the fact that God knows best. He is in control. I'll make the most of what I've got available. I'll do my best to cope with what is going on. And pray. Pray. You know, you don't go through life not having a conversation with people you work with or your family or, you know, next door neighbours, things like that. Well, why do you go through life and not talk to Hashem? Talk to God. We should talk to God first and foremost, frequently, often. And yes, even when you are looking for a car park, but don't make the mistake when you find it to say, it's all right, God, I found one all by myself. Because you didn't, did you? Okay, so let's look at some things. And I think I've lost my place now. Oh, yes. So we're going to go on and talk about a couple of things here. First of all, of course, it is the optimism. We must be optimistic and comforted that God has complete control, even in the supermarket car park, all right? So everything in the universe, he is Lord and Master over. He tweaks everything. Now, on here it says that the duty of man is to come to know the glory of God and the splendid majesty of his greatness. Each person according to their capacity. Again, I'll repeat, according. It is written in the Zohar, and this is 2:4-2b, there's a reference there. God's creation of the world is so that humanity may know him. Humanity may know him. And what better way to get to know Hashem than to talk to him regularly? That's really what we should be about. So let's go on here now, and I'll look at a couple of other things that I think are worthy of mention. Let's first of all understand that God has complete control over everything. Just a reminder, just keep that uppermost in your mind. And we need to let that sink in. So here we go. Here's a few things, and I'm just sort of going to read these because they are key points and I don't want to paraphrase them and lose the veracity of the content. Beyond Judaism's direct influence on the world's major religions, elements of the Jewish concept of monotheism have greatly influenced modern thinking in general. Number 2, the pagans believed that the various forces of nature were gods, each vying for dominance and all indifferent to humankind. Number 3, Abraham spread the belief in the one non-material, benevolent God who created the world and humanity for a dignified purpose. Number 4, knowing that the entire universe was created intentionally by God brings us to the realization that the world in general and our lives in particular have a purpose. We weren't just born for the sake of us being born. God knew before our first cry or utterance that we had a mission to serve. We had a purpose. Meaning and purpose give us motivation and happiness in our lives. And that is true. Even the most menial task, if you're trying to mend something, let's sew a missing button, find a button, matches, and sewing it back on a shirt. You know what? When you're finished, you look at it and that's done. It's a sense of satisfaction. I've accomplished something. I've restored that shirt back to working order now. Just needed a button on it. Don't think in the huge big miracles. Think in the daily things that you do every day that make a difference because you did it. Knowing that the entire universe was created, we need to remind ourselves often about that meaning and purpose. And that meaning and purpose in our life is what gives us the motivation to go and do something. You know, that, oh, I must do that. Oh, I'll do that next week. I'll do that next week. Or even the little things. And then suddenly, no, I'm going to do it right now. You go and you do it and you feel a sense of achievement. You're content. You've accomplished something. Now, we can be optimistic when we realise that God has exclusive control over all that transpires in the universe and that He is interested in our benefit and good. Now, just let that sink in. We can be optimistic that God's in control and know that for the benefit of the good of us and for our well-being, God will supply and ordain things that are in our best interest. Simple. Simple. Number 6 says, recognising and contemplating God's oneness and greatness is not only a means to an end, but is humankind's goal in and of itself. So let's go back. Recognising and contemplating God's oneness, one. He's one, not 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever. So His oneness and greatness is not only a means to an end, but is humankind's goal in and of itself. Now, I couldn't put that any better. That's why I wanted to read the text as closely as I could to make us understand why there is one God. And at times I know people wander around and feel disillusioned and they're not sure whether they're following the one God or are they involved in some Trinitarian faith and are they on the right track. We all have doubts about everything we believe in, be they justified or not. But you can count on God. That's all you need, is to talk to God and have faith in the one God. No matter what anyone says or tells you, talk to God. Now, I will list the Deuteronomy and Lamentation verses in the description box for you to check and read. But the main thing is to remember that our goal in life's journey is mainly to acknowledge and understand that God's in control. And sure, every act of kindness and goodness we do helps the world. So we have a role to play as well. We don't have to go out and move mountains or donate millions of dollars. It's just simple kindness, being kind to someone, smiling at someone in the supermarket. Someone stops and says, do you know anything about this such and such a seasoning or spice? Well, if they're asking me, I usually say, let me find someone that's a good cook and knows what they're talking about, because I'm not really quite sure. And you have a laugh, but you share kindness and share differences and also share the things you have in common, just with a small encounter in the supermarket. So be optimistic and be comforted and know that God has complete control, and let that sink in every day. When you get up in the morning and you're looking in the mirror, cleaning your teeth or whatever, just to remind, God's in control. I've got to get that in my head. God is in control. I've got to do my best at what I'm doing today. And thank God for what I have. Not whinge about what I don't have. God knows what's best for you and He'll make sure you get it. So Our goal in life's journey is to know there is one God. The Jews have always had it right. They've always known, and it would do us well, no matter what faith you're in, to understand that. In the meantime, I want you to please take care. God bless, and I'll see you next time. Bye.